to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. It is a windy Sunday afternoon, and I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And honestly, I know I needed to get on here and do a podcast, but I got crap to do, and it's windy, and it turned cold, and it turned stormy this afternoon, and that's why I'm on here, because I've literally got nothing else to do. So I grabbed me an energy drink, try to re-energize myself. 300 milligrams of caffeine usually will help me out in the afternoon, and I came out here, put in the SD card, pushed the buttons to start recording this thing, and now I'm here to chat with you. Mostly just about what's kind of been going on. No big news per se. And just tell you a little bit about what's been happening here in my life and at Patriot Defense, since I know you all were just sitting on the edge of your seats waiting to hear from me. So not a whole lot going on, actually, right now. I've got the academy classes. Those are just kind of scheduled, and they happen. And I don't have a whole lot of private classes going on right now, just because we just came out of spring break. We just came out of Easter, and so that's usually kind of slows down for a little while there. I got some private classes on the schedule coming up soon, so hopefully people are getting back out and about, getting back to their regular schedules, and they'll get out and try to get some training done. Summer is coming. It is not too far away, and it's time to get out and get those classes done now and get prepared for all your adventures that you might partake in over the next 6 or 7 months. I mean, there's traveling involved. People go camping. And I tell people, if you're going to take those classes, I mean, take them all summer long. That's when a lot of the classes are available. But at least your permit class, I mean, get signed up for that. If you don't have your permit, get signed up for that permit class and get it out of the way before the weather really turns off good. And then you're too busy camping and you don't want to come in here and waste a Saturday, which I tell you, if you're going to waste a Saturday, you might as well waste it with me. I'm pretty good company. So there's that. Speaking of traveling, speaking of going out of state and going on vacation and doing stuff during the summer, a little birdie told me, actually, there's a gentleman by the name of Bill. He he's in one of my men's academies, and he got a hold of me the other day, and he says, hey, look, I go to Oregon a lot, and I'm tired of not being able to legally carry a gun there. And so he did the dirty work. He mapped out how to actually go and get what they call a Oregon permit or an Oregon non-resident permit. I'm not sure. Sorry about that. I need some more caffeine, I guess. Yawned right in the microphone. Am I going to cut that out? Am I going to be a good podcast editor? No, I'm not. I'm just going to send it. But he did the legwork and the research and figured out how to get his Oregon permit, and I believe he actually already has it. So let's talk about that. I thought that it would be a lot harder than it is to get an Oregon permit. I always assumed that there was a bunch of training involved as far as going to Oregon and having to take a training class and do a shooting portion and all this other stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I never ventured to do it. I didn't have the time. I didn't want to, get a place to stay, all that stuff. And then I was told that because Oregon currently doesn't recognize anyone else's permit. So if you want to carry in Oregon, you got to get their permit. That is true. But then I was told that the Idaho enhanced permit was good enough that you could just get your permit based off of having the Idaho enhanced permit. That is also a lie, according to this guy that went up there and got his permit when he was speaking with the sheriff's department. That is also a lie. So, yeah, so there's that. So it's really easy, actually. And I thought it would be way worse just because of Oregon. because they have such kind of stringent gun laws down there, I thought it would be way worse. And really all you do is you go online. It just takes you a little bit of time. You go online and it's $60 for, you have to take a test over their laws and their that kind of stuff. It's like it took me about 15 minutes at the most to take this test, which is about 12 minutes long, and it costs $60. And it is the dumbest test on the planet. Let's be honest here. It is really easy to go through, and you got to read a little section, and it's a couple of questions. And if for some reason you have to get them all right, if for some reason you get one wrong, then you just go back and you look at the section again, and then you just go back to the question portion, which a lot of people, most tests would be like, oh, they changed the questions. Nah, they're the same exact questions in the same exact order. So it's really easy to pass this test if you struggle at all. But it's pretty common sense. Some of it has to do with Oregon gun laws, which are a little different than what you might think. But $60, you take that test. Then after you take the test, they email you a successful completion certificate, and you go ahead and print that off. And then you go back on there and you start poking around, and you go and you have to make an appointment. But before you can make an appointment to go and then get your fingerprints taken, it's actually pretty slick. I enjoyed the way they did this because it makes it a lot easier. But you actually fill out the background check online on the computer. They give it to you. You fill it out. You put your name on there, all the information. It's essentially like buying a firearm. It's like filling out a NICS. It's like a NICS check to a certain extent. It's like that paperwork. You fill it all out, and then it tells you it wants like three or four types of identification, and it tells you what works. I think I used the driver's license, a birth certificate. They wanted some other kind of just ID. It could have been like an insurance card or something like that. And I think I used my NRA instructor creds. It has my name on it. I scanned it and I sent it to them. They never told me it wouldn't work. And then, of course, they need a passport or a birth certificate or something that shows that you're a citizen of the United States. And so you take a picture of those, you upload them to your form, and then you pay $119, I think it is, and then you hit send. Sends all that stuff in, then it comes back with an option to book your appointment. And you book your appointment, and you just do it online. You don't have to talk to anyone. You literally are going to drive all the way down there for like 20 minutes to get your fingerprints taken and a picture taken. That is it. And then if you pass the background check, they send you your permit in the mail. It's really that easy, which surprised me a ton, like I said, being Oregon. So a couple things you need to be aware of. You can't just go down and do it in any county down there. Now, if you're a resident of the state of Oregon, you have to get your permit in the county that you live in, from what I read. Okay. So if you're not a resident of the state of Oregon, they will also offer permits to people who live in states that border Oregon or border that county that you're applying in. So I am actually going down to Vail, Oregon. It's about 3-ish hours away. And though my state, Idaho, actually borders that county, which is it's Vail, Oregon, and Malheur, I don't know how you say it. Malheur County is what I'm going to call it. So yeah, I got my appointment tomorrow at 9:00, and I'm going to wake up real early, and I'm going to get down there. They're pretty strict. They don't want you to be late. They want you to show up 5 minutes early for your appointment. And you literally just walk in, prove it's you by showing them your driver's license. You can do your fingerprints, take your picture, and send you away. You're probably in there less than 20 minutes, I would imagine. So I'm on my way. And the reason why I did this is because I used to drive through Oregon a lot. I had some grandparents that were still alive, and they lived in Washington State, but we had to go through Oregon to get there. And it was always a pain in the butt with my gun. Do I take it? Do I not take it? That kind of thing. And lately, every year, I've started going on a trip every summer. We go out, take a small anniversary trip type thing, me and my wife, and we go to the Oregon coast, and we plan on doing that again this year. So I thought, I'm not doing that till July. I've got a little bit of time. I'm going to go ahead and get this permit. When I go down on our vacation, I am going to drive through a part of Oregon that's kind of way out in the middle of nowhere, and we'll talk about it. I avoid Portland as much as I can. I haven't been that direction for a long, long time. I usually cut across the center of the state. And, you're out in the middle of nowhere, big desert, big area, something could happen. It just feels good to be able to have a firearm with you. Now, I'm going to be going down. I'm not going to be going through Bend. I'm going to drop down through what they call Christmas Valley. Now, it's kind of the Oregon high desert out there before you get to the trees and whatnot. And there is these areas on the side of the highway, which are kind of interesting because you go out there and they're just people living in houses or little shacks that they build out of pallets and refrigerator cardboard. It's the most wild thing you ever seen. It's just right on the side of the road in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And heaven forbid you break down out there. I can only imagine what would happen if you broke down out there. So typically I would not take my guns. I would obey the law. I would leave them at home. Some of you give me a hard time about it. Why don't you take your guns to Oregon? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? We take our guns anyway. Well, it's my livelihood. Did a whole episode on this. It's my livelihood. I can't get jammed up with a gun charge, or I can't support myself anymore. I got to go get another job. I got to go get a real job, one that probably pays more. But I enjoy doing this so much, I don't want to lose the availability, the opportunity to be able to do this, to support my family, and be a firearms instructor. So if I'm going to teach the laws, I better obey the laws. That's kind of the way I look at it. So I'll be heading down tomorrow, real quick trip. And that's the only thing about the whole process that bothers me. It's like, God, I got to go clear down there, like 3 hours away for like a 15-minute visit and then back. But I'm going to take my wife with me. We're going to go. There's a restaurant up in that Boise area. We'll be going through Boise that she likes to eat it. We'll stop and eat there. Maybe we'll go to Shills, look around, and then we'll come home. We'll make a nice day trip out of it. So there you go. I'll let you know if I come across anything else or anything else that I have to do. And now I'm going to be curious to see how quickly I actually get my permit. So I don't know if it's going to be a week. I don't know if it's going to be 2 months. Hopefully it's before I go on my trip in July. I think it's relatively quick from what I hear. But there you go. I'll probably make a post on social media about it as soon as I get this thing done. And I'll post up the links for anyone that might be interested in getting their Oregon permit. So there you go. What else do I got here? I did make a somewhat of a list. Target backers. I've been asked a ton, how are your new target backers holding up? Now, I switched at the beginning of the year. I switched from cardboard target backers to using horse trailer mats that I cut up. And then I stapled the targets to those horse trailer mats. And I want to tell you right now, they work fantastic. The wind blows them around a little bit, not near as much as the cardboard. Every time it rains, like today we've had a rainstorm. Yesterday we had a rainstorm. If I would have had to replace and put up cardboard for different classes for the last 2 days, every time it rains, my cardboard backers would have just failed on me. They would have turned to crap. They would have got mushy. They would have got curled up. They probably would have blown away in the windstorms that we had, but not the horse trailer mats. Now, they've been shot at quite a bit, in so much as they've got a couple of them, a handful of them actually have holes in them where they're missing horse trailer mat. The centers have been shot out of them. Now, the targets of the backers themselves are actually kind of self-healing for a while. But when you get 300 or 400 rounds in like an area the size of like a baseball or a tennis ball, right? Eventually that stuff's going to fall out. And that's what's starting to happen. But it's really, honestly, it's not a problem. Because when I staple up the papers, I just staple them up over those holes. It's just nice having a target backer that isn't removing itself from the wood target uprights, right? So these have actually worked out really well. I'm really happy. Long as I look at them, I was saying about a month ago that maybe I would change them all out in July. Well, we're going to see. The better shooters I have, even though they're shooting a target, they're shooting right through the center of it, and it's going through that hole that's behind the paper. It's not damaging my target backers anymore. I actually might make it. I'm thinking I might make it all summer. I might make it until fall before I got to change these suckers out. So kind of looking forward to see how long they last. So far, so good. It was 100% worth the investment. Now, what do I got here on my list? Okay, I got a class coming up, and I mentioned this on the last podcast. I've mentioned it online. I've also mentioned it on the radio show. I will probably repost it online over the next couple days on social media. But I have been lucky enough to have a friend of mine who is ex-law enforcement. He was law enforcement for, I want to say, about 18 years. I could be wrong on that, but it's pretty close. And so he knows some of those. He knows some of that law enforcement stuff. And I'm really excited that I've teamed up with him. And we are putting on a house clearing class. So how do you clear your house? Now, excuse me, clear my throat. Man, I tell you what, you've been listening to this podcast long enough. Allergy season. I got some tree out there that's putting off these big seed pod things. And everywhere they land, there's a big poof of yellow pollen. And that is what is getting me right now. But I'm going to go ahead and throw up on social media later today this house clearing. I don't have the information directly in front of me. That's how not prepared I am. This house clearing class and the registration for it. But it's coming up. I believe it is, let's see, March, April. I believe it is next month. It's going to be on one of the Saturdays next month. And I have talked about not clearing your house. And if you've taken a permit class from me, you might be thinking, Todd, you always tell people you're better off not to clear your house. You're better off just to call the police and let law enforcement come and handle it. And I still stand by that statement. Now, why do I make that statement? Well, here's the thing. You may know your house, but you don't know where that bad guy is. You have no idea where that bad guy is. And he knows that if you're coming out of your room or you're coming down the hallway, you're coming down the stairs, he knows exactly where you're going to be. Now, in my house, the way my house is set up, we got an upstairs and a downstairs. All the bedrooms are upstairs. My bedroom and my wife's bedroom is upstairs, and our son's bedroom, we've only got one kiddo at home, his bedroom is upstairs as well. So if someone breaks into my house, I'm not going downstairs. I don't care. I'll probably just open the door and let the Cane Corso go take care of it. That's kind of what I'm thinking will happen. But I'm not going to clear the house. I'm going to make sure my son's okay. My wife's going to be on the phone. She's going to be armed. She's going to call 911. She's going to let them know what's happening. I'm going to be upstairs with a gun. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to yell downstairs. You need to get out of the house. The police are on the way. I'm armed. I got a gun. I will shoot. You need to leave the house now. And at that point, if someone comes up the stairs, it's game on if it's the bad guy. So there's no reason for me to go downstairs. There's no one on the main level who I need to protect. Everyone is upstairs. Now, everyone's house is not set up like that. Some people's house is maybe the master bedroom is upstairs and maybe the kid's bedroom is downstairs. You hear someone kick open your door or break a window and climb through the window at 2:00 in the morning. And you're like, oh man, I'm up here. That noise came from downstairs. That's where my kids are. By all means, at that point, you're going to want to, any parent typically is going to want to go and protect their children. And they're probably going to head down that stairs with a gun. And they're going to have to possibly safely learn how to clear their house. And so this is where this class comes in. And it's a very unique class. It's not something I've ever seen. I've been doing this for quite a while around here in the Valley. I've never seen another class offered like this anywhere in the Valley. So this is pretty slick. So again, I'm not super prepared. I'm not super prepared right now, but I will post all that up online or on the social media. And I tell you what, if you're taking a class out here, you've probably been, you're probably on an email list and you probably got the email. And I'm sorry about that. If you don't like it, tough. Unsubscribe. I'll get you removed. But you'll probably see this house clearing class. So check it out if you're interested. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to use some simunitions guns, not with the simunition rounds, but simunition type guns, and learn the tricks, learn the methods, the techniques, and then into class we're going to set up a deal out on the range, a faux house, air quotes, that you will be able to go through and clear, and there'll be live targets that you can shoot out there within our quote shoot house, which we don't really have, but this thing that we're going to set up, so you'll be able to check all that out. So cool, it'll be fun. Now, I posted this on Facebook yesterday, I believe. My son has been fortunate enough to be able to, he's into shooting now. He's into shooting handguns. He is 12 years old. And I talked about him. He's a pretty good little shot. And he's taking a series of classes with a group, which includes several of his martial arts instructors. And they said, hey, we're going to take this class from you, and they said Trig can join. So I've been spotting him as ammo because he's only 12, but he's been running the class. And the last class we did, he is shooting a TTI Combat, so Canic TTI Combat, and he likes that gun. It's got a dot on it, Holosun dot on it. He's been doing really well with it. And so we are having class number 2 coming up, I believe this coming Saturday. And what we're going to do in that class is we are going to teach them how to draw from a holster. We're going to run it dry. We're going to run it unloaded, no shooting, make sure everyone understands how to do this safely. And then from there, we're going to move to actually drawing and shooting. And this is a class that I really enjoy. I really enjoy this drawing and shooting in this from the holster class, because the only way you're going to get good at drawing from a holster is by doing it, and doing it a bunch. And in this class, you are going to be drawing your firearm probably around 300 times. And people are like, holy cow, that's a lot. Well, that's the only way to get better at something. Now, I'm a little concerned for my son. 300 times might be a lot for him. I'm not going to, I shouldn't say that, but it might be. So we're gonna keep an eye on him. We're gonna get him to draw from the holster. We're gonna practice it before class. So I look forward to having everyone in that class and also seeing how my kiddo does. He will be shooting that Canic TTI Combat, and I had Mason over at Ballistic Edge Firearms make him a holster. He's been practicing his holster making, and I gave him some Kydex. I put a picture up of it last night, I believe. It's really cool Kydex. It's got some pictures on it of Deadpool riding a unicorn, and that Canic TTI looks really cool in it. So I showed my kid. He's pretty excited. In fact, when I get done on the podcast, we're going to go inside and put it on him and start teaching him a little bit. So I am looking forward to that. So I'll let you guys know how that class goes. Get some pictures of it for you. And him and everyone else in that class. We'll be burning lots of ammo that day. What else we got? I say a lot. Like if I was on the radio show, like I'd be kicked off. Like you can't do that. But yeah, okay. This time of year is the time of year everyone gets out and shoots, and I just wanted to throw out there, go out and train, and go out and shoot. It's pertinent that you're accurate. I've said this about 500,000 times on here, but it's pertinent that you be proficient with your firearm. You get out and you put some rounds down range, and not only train with others. Go and take a class. Train with your buddies, and tell your buddies not to be nice. Tell them to be critical. And when I say that, it's not me being rude. You want to be critical in situations like this, because you don't want to train something improperly. You don't want to train something bad. You want to go out there, you want to continue to train, and you don't want to make any mistakes. So if it's been a while since you've drawn from the holster, drawn your gun from a holster and put shots downrange on targets, then you know what? Have someone watch you. Set up a phone and record yourself, because we all get a little sloppy. We all get a little lazy. But if you're doing this by yourself, you may not even notice it. That's where the video of recording yourself comes in really handy. I tell people, go out, shoot, do something. Draw from the holster, record it, send it to me. You can text it to me. Say, I was doing this. How does it look? When I tell everyone that's even taking a class from me, send it to me. I'll help you. I'll tweak you a little bit. We'll get your stuff ironed out. I don't want to see anyone have any what we call range scars by doing something over and over and over and over again. That is the incorrect thing. I see groups of people in my women's academy, groups of people in my men's academy that take those academies year after year. And let's be honest, they don't shoot a lot in the winter. The academy's end in November, and then they start again in February, and there's about a 3-month time span there where they're probably not shooting just because of the weather, the cold, the holidays, people are busy, that kind of stuff. And that's where some of these mistakes, some of these range scars can develop, right? The sloppiness can rear its ugly head. And you don't want it to do that. You want to avoid that and avoid training those incorrect things. So just know that. I see that because I see him pick up the gun, pick up the holster here, and I see people that didn't flinch or worked hard to get over a flinch start flinching. I've seen people draw the gun, and I'm like, why are you doing that with your hand? I've seen the people draw the gun, and I'm like, why are you bowling with that? Why are you fishing with that? Listen, you need to drive that sucker straight out. And it's just because they haven't done it for a while, or maybe they have done it recently, but they just got sloppy, and then they started training sloppy. You want to train every time you pick up that gun and you shoot, every time you pick up that gun or you draw that gun from the holster, you want to recreate, or you want it to make it seem like that is the shot that matters. That is the draw that might save your life. And you want to do it with purpose. You want to do it with intent, and you want to do it correct every single time. Now, as we go out and we shoot on the range and we do our training, we need to make sure we're testing our gear. And that just happens how do we test our gear? We use our gear. You want to find out that maybe if you went and bought a bunch of, new mags, you want to know that what? You want to know that those magazines are going to function well in your gun, and you're not going to have problems with them. You want to understand that. You want to understand that, and you want to figure that out on the range, not when you're trying to use, a lot of times it's cheaper to go buy kind of like off-brand, not factory mags. And sometimes we find out they don't work. You want to find that out on the range and not in a defensive encounter. Okay. You want to make sure that dot that you installed on your gun isn't going to fall off. You want to make sure that it's dialed in and that it's going to hold zero like it should. Sometimes stuff has malfunctions and it doesn't do that. You also want to do what? You want to make sure that new holster is going to work, that you're not going to have to adjust it or modify it. You want to make sure that it's going to stay behind, on your belt when you draw your gun and not come off your belt with the gun. I had this situation not too long ago, which I was demonstrating in class, drawing a gun. I had a blue gun. I shoved it in my carry holster, and I drew it, and guess what came off with it? The holster. Same holster I've been using I've been using it every day for probably the last almost 10 years. And why did it do that? Well, I realized that the clip was getting stretched out and wore out, and it was time to get a new clip attached to it, right? That stuff happens, but you want to train and practice enough that you catch it during training instead of in the 2:00 in the morning when you need your firearm, or when you're walking through Walmart and someone tries to attack you and you got to draw your gun. You don't want failures there. That's why we train hard, so we don't fail. That's why we train hard with the equipment we're going to use, so our equipment doesn't fail, or we know that it's not going to fail. That's why we do what we do. So I want to leave you with those words. I'm going to go ahead and step on out of here. I'm really excited to get this this holster on my kiddo and work with him on the draw stroke and see how this holster is going to work out. And look at me. I am testing my gear. He's testing his gear. Brand new holster. I just received it today where he's gonna go ahead and hook it up, put it on, test it out to make sure I'm not going to have to modify anything before his class. So there you go. That's another reminder. Don't bring brand new stuff to class. Test it out. Put some time in it. Don't ruin your class or bring backups. One of the two. Something to think about. I'm going to let you know how Oregon goes. I'll give you guys the lowdown on that. Until then, you guys have a good week. Bye.